up February. But it'll probably be January 26th is my guess. Boxing's always known to take advantage of that date when there's a lot of fans that are pumped up for something, but they got to wait 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. So if you look at the history, it's definitely, they usually kick that in right there. So that would be a good look. Bring it back to Brooklyn. Put Quillin as a doubleheader, that type of thing. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Garcia from the BoxingSocialist.com. Make sure you follow them on Twitter. Check them out all over the place. Garcia, the light on YouTube. You know, Sean and Garcia do such a great job there, BoxingSocialist.com. Hey, man, how you feeling? I saw your video. By the way, that video was a really good video today. And funny, dude. You had some one-liners in there that had me cracking up, but you still sounded pretty sick. Now, you feeling okay, Garcia?
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling great today. I was more fatigued when I made that video.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you still got it done, though, and I retweeted it. Make sure you guys check that out. It's probably about, 15, 18 minutes. It's a nice, long video, wide variety of stuff. So let's talk about Danny Garcia.
Oh, yeah.
The first 2 rounds, Morales was there. Okay? Then a huge right hand at the end of the third round, and just in general, Garcia did start to take it to him, obviously in the 4th round as well. But here's the thing: everybody's discounting Danny's win, and I get it to an extent. But remember, this is Morales who took Maidana with one eye for 11 rounds, the distance, and it was like it was a good fight. It was a solid fight. He had his moments in that fight, and then it was an even fight for quite a while until later in the fight against Danny in March. So he's over the hill, of course. I'm glad he's going to do one more fight in Tijuana and get over. I think it's a great move. He showed heart on wanting to even get up from that. You know what I mean? That was crazy, but Danny did what he had to do. He put another dude on spin cycle with his left hook. What are your thoughts on this, man? And people taking credit away from Danny, and I still see all this nonsense talk about Danny. Should he get this great credit for beating Morales and a top-level guy, and oh, my God, how did he do it? No. But damn, he took care of business, didn't he, Garcia?
Yeah, you can't blame the fighter. Your job is to beat the guy that's in front of you. And he did it the way you're supposed to. If the guy's over the hill and shouldn't be in the ring, you make it look like the guy's over the hill and shouldn't be in the ring with you. That's what he did. And the thing is that Eric Morales, I really think that it was way past his prime. I didn't agree with this fight to begin with because I didn't feel Eric Morales should have gotten a rematch because there were other fights ahead, and when he won the WBC title, like what made him get a guaranteed rematch clause in the contract? But it was there anyway. They did it to boost, Garcia up to where he should be. I just don't agree that this fight needed to happen again. And Eric Morales looked drained. I mean, he looked like he was completely drained and flat. I mean, the first fight he had with Garcia, he had a lot more liveliness in his body than he did in the first 2 rounds. He looked like he just couldn't get going. And he was just a step too slow. And then Garcia did things in this fight that he didn't do in the first fight. He didn't sit back and wait and see what Eric Morales was going to do. He decided to put the pressure on Eric Morales and stay right in front of him. And he didn't try to give him angles. And I think that was due to the confidence he got by dropping him in the last part of the fight when they first fought. That he felt that, okay, I can bring it to this guy and I can get him on the ground and I can just overpower him. But I like the way he looked. He times and sets his shots up very well. But just like the other caller said before, he does rush a little bit too much. But that comes with you. And when you're excited, you're gonna make some mistakes. You might throw some wild shots. But he catches himself, and then he goes back to basics. And that's what I like about him. I mean, he's a great young fighter, and I think that he's going to make some noise here. And I think Lucas Matisse is the guy he needs to fight next, not Zab Judah. I think Zab Judah has done nothing to earn this shot at the 140 title. He just beat Parrish, but he's not really in the mix. That was almost a year he's totally inactive. and I just don't think that he'll be able to contend with Garcia because he really got a gift against Lucas Matisse, and I just really don't think that's a competitive fight at all, and not at this point in time. I think Garcia would beat him handily. I think Zab is not the same Zab he used to be. He's kind of like more concerned about the incoming. I mean, Parrish is a little bit more greener than Danny Garcia, I would say.
Right.
And he definitely doesn't have the power that Garcia possesses. So I just don't see that fight being exciting. It might sell more than the Lucas Matisse fight, but the Matisse fight is boxing fans' dream. This is the fight you want. If you're a boxing fan, that's the fight you want. You want Garcia and Lucas Matisse and nothing else. Don't settle for anything else. Don't settle for nothing less. That's the fight you want. So all the boxing fans need to push for that fight. He's the number one contender. He won, and he won it impressively, and he needs the shot.
That's right, and he got screwed in the past, too, and he kept fighting through it, and he's only come back from it and been stronger. So I agree with you. It sounds like they're trying to put Maidana and him together. I think that fight's always there, Carcino. Leave that to linger. Do that when they're a little later from now, a couple of years from now, when they've already, done their thing, and put that thing in their home country and let them go at it. But do that later. I think that fight's always there, in my opinion, especially with those guys' style. Don't get me wrong, Maidana looks to be changing his style a little bit, but that style, they're always going to bang, and especially if it's, the countrymen going head-to-head. And I think that they'll always be able to sell that fight. And I think you make a great point. I agree with the Morales fight not needing to happen. I totally agree. And this is when they should have had the Zab right now. You know what I mean? If they would have done the Zab this time around, that would have got, more people there. It's not that there was any, they did good for their first show in 80 years there, but that could have, been that. Get that out of the way, get that money fight out of the way, get the Brooklyn base there, and then, like you said, be ready to take Matisse. But now it sounds like, and like you said, you can't blame the fighter. I mean, Danny did well. You know what I mean? In the ring and
right.
Stopped the bank account.
And then another thing I want to talk about. This drug testing. It's clear. It was clear across the board that some diuretic was in his system. It was clear across the board in sample A and sample B. Now, my thing is, why are you out of that? What are they there for? What are you paying them to do? If they test, they find something in people's urine or whatever, or the sample that they took from them, they find the stuff, and you still going to let the fight go. What are they there for then? What did you pay them to do? The Nevada State Athletic Committee said they're going to go off their test, and even their test had a trace of the diuretic. And then Eric Morales' excuse that he ate some meat that could have been contaminated. What are the odds that you're going to eat a meat that's contaminated that seem to have a diuretic in it for God's weight, and you're having trouble making weight?
Weight, man. The cow's got to make weight these days, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and then it just hurts the intelligence of boxing fans. It's just like this is an insult. So even put that out there, and then you have the state athletic committee allowing this to go forward. Then it's like if they're going to override the USADA testing system, then what are they going to do when the scales are even higher for Mayweather Pacquiao? If someone comes up dirty, what's going to happen then? Because they seem like no matter what was going to happen, this fight was going to take place, no matter what.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, that's a phenomenal point, and when the money's on the line like that, they can always do backdoor deals and all that, and there'll be so much money in that purse possibly that I'm sure Pacquiao or whatever, however, I'm not going to just sit there and say just Pacquiao, whatever, but you know what I mean.
Right.
In that situation, most people would think that, so, I mean, you could give an extra couple million, it wouldn't hurt you with that kind of purse, so, yeah, I agree, man. It's like, but I'll say for Danny, two things. One, his father talking about them not wanting to do the fight when there's a mill on the line. I love that. I think, don't get me wrong, I know Garcia has said some stuff, the Amir Khan stuff in there, the Pakistani thing that can't fight. Don't get me wrong. He said some stuff where you're like, really, dude? But the guy is entertaining. He knows his stuff. He keeps calling it right. And he definitely called that Khan thing the whole time, and he was right. But I'll tell you what, that tells you a lot about that camp. Danny's listening to his trainer. They're both listening to Al Heyman. And they said, you know what, I got a millie. This could, you never know. This could be their biggest. They may not make another $1 million. You just never know. You never know in boxing. I mean, I think he will, but you never know. And he made quite a jump from his last 2 fights in profit, you know, in income level, that's for sure. I mean, he's in a different bracket now. So I love the fact that they're like, there's not any kind of money that's going to get me in that over this. But then they talked it through. They talked it, you know, through all over, saying the third one came up negative. Well, yeah, it's already been in and out of your system. Of course, the third one. I mean, how many damn times can you fail one? You know, like, of course the third one's going to come out clean. Shit, I mean, he failed 2 in a row. So I agree. I don't know what the hell just went happened, but I'll tell you what, Danny scored the KO on spin cycle again with the left hook that he's timing. This is not a lucky punch. He is timing that. You can see he's waiting for a guy to punch, and then he delivers it. And 2, he made a lot of money. So he made money, got the spin cycle. Oh, I'm sorry, 3. He fought a dude on something, which tells you where he's at, too. You know, he's like, hey, I mean, that, people think that's a badass thing to do. No matter what, you're going to get credit for that. So I think it was, obviously, now we can look at it, and it was obviously a great decision, but he put it on spin cycle. He's starting to grow a fan base. Philly is so close to that Barclays Center. In the, you know, overall, if you have 90 days or 120 days to plan for something, it's not that far of a drive. I'm sure at some point they're going to do something in Philly with him, but why not just stay right there since you have the deal? But, I mean, yeah, I do think it'll be Zab late January, like they're saying, and then hopefully we'll get that Matisse fight. But, you know, it's something that has been talked about, but not at that high of a level. And what I wanted to talk to you about is Tommy Summers, 50 Cent, Manny, you know, or the Floyd Mayweather thing with the, you know, all the letters that were sent to him. I didn't get your take. We're sick last week. I wanted to hear your take about this. You know, the news has been out for quite some time. Obviously now it's SMS, which is his audio company. 50's still going to keep going with it. Don't know exactly all the details, but he is sitting down with Kaiser here in November to try to get licensed. But he basically thinks that Al Heyman and Golden Boy did a deal with the MGM. And the fact that they did point out Al Heyman has all these fighters, but a lot of them go to Golden Boy. But some of them go to Golden Boy. Not all. A lot of them are just, some of them are independent. So, you know, they're talking about all these, you know, you can control this, that, and the other. And they're talking about no more MGM. We're only going to fight stadiums. And, you know, it matters who you're fighting in those stadiums, Garcia, you know, because if you're going to put 75,000 people in the, you know, in the stadium, you have to, the other guy has to have a pretty damn big name, 1. And 2, you got to start those tickets out at like $25, $50. So it's not like the MGM where the first ticket is, you know, at $250 or $200. So I don't think it's that easy just to say you're going to make all this money out of these stadium venues at the state of boxing. Now, if it's a top guy, Cotto, Pacquiao, yeah, that's cool, but odds are those aren't going to be the guys. Maybe Canelo, sure, I'll give you that. But what are your thoughts on this? Are you thinking that he's just kind of trying to just conspiracy, you know, do the conspiracy on him while he's in jail, trying to fill his head and get the ball rolling? What are your thoughts on this, man? I didn't get a chance because, like I said, I'm glad you're feeling better, but you were sick last week. I kind of want to see your point on this, man. This is a shady one in a variety of ways. I really don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Al Heyman and Golden Boy, there's a possibility that they already did that it's real, or what are your thoughts? Is he just trying to get him? You know, what are your thoughts on this, Garcia?
Well, definitely there are deals that promoters do with the facility host. They negotiate a term or a salary. That's already been done in the press. They've already negotiated, like for the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight, they bid each facility would bid, and like the MGF bumped up to $30 million to pay for the fight if it was to be hosted. So none of this is like really. This isn't breaking news to Floyd Mayweather. It's just like someone's putting their pitch together and they just going through a whole list of what they would want him to do. And basically the whole story is this: 50 Cent wanted Floyd to go on his own because he could really make more money if he was to cut out basically Al Heyman. And he didn't need him anymore. And that's what he's basically saying, like, Al did a great job. It's not saying he didn't good, but why settle for 40 and 50 million when you could be making 150 million and then you can keep it? But see, what Floyd is looking at is not just the loyalty, it's just that he's not a man who likes change too much, and he doesn't want to go out there on his own with no guarantees. He's not just going to jump out on a whim with 50 Cent and then someone else, not to say 50 couldn't get it done, it's just that he's not in the boxing world. It's like, you want me to basically cut off the people that's been helping me making $50 and $60 million constantly, and just all of a sudden say we take a chance that we're going to go do this on our own. We're going to get 150 million. It just was moving too fast. The guy just got out of jail. He had been out 2 months, and then you're sending him papers to sign, and it's just like things are just moving way too fast. And he just wanted to really go over and see what he wanted to do with Mayweather Promotions, but he never wanted to disband his company of Mayweather Promotions. Right. He was still going to keep that and then help 50 with the TMT because he wanted to get into boxing. But he had no plans of leaving Al Heyman.
And ultimately, it was really, and this is 50 Cent too, he could say all the stuff he wants to say about changing the sport and all that. Of course you could say that when you come in, but his biggest thing was just to be kind of the co-promoter of the Pacquiao-Floyd fight in the end. I'm not saying he would screw these other guys, but, it went from him and Floyd to Floyd, Manny, and him. It was kind of all over the place, and when you're not licensed in Nevada yet, you're not licensed in Texas, you're not licensed in these other places, you just never know. Like you said, then you go burn a bridge, and he doesn't have the same sponsorship. And AT&T, there's some sponsorships that Oscar has that 50's not going to be able to get because of, his image in some way. Don't get me wrong, he's had good sponsorship, but that vitamin water, he put up his own money to get into that. It wasn't just a sponsorship deal that they randomly did on a limb. He owned 10% of the damn company and helped them grow. So it was a business plan behind the scenes and money up front. So it's not like he has all these sponsors, which is huge in that type of thing because money coming in pays for stuff that you have to pay for. So that's a huge thing. Real quick, though, what do you think of that Quillin and Dom fight, man? I mean, Hassan came to America to show something, and yeah, he went down 6 times, but did he show something or what, Garcia?
Oh, yeah, I mean, he was very lively on his feet. It seems like the knockdowns really got him, going. He was boxing a little bit, but he seemed a little flat, and when he got caught, it's just like he became alive. He got on his toes, he started using angles. And I think Quillin was just waiting for the perfect shot. I think he was just waiting for perfect shots too much. And he should have went to the jab and tried to set things up. He could have made it an easier night for himself. Because it was clear that his power was definitely, telling in the fight. And then he could control the fight, but he was trying to pace himself. Because he had never went 12 rounds before. And he normally gassed out in 10-round fights. So he was really trying to pace himself. That's why he was struggling towards the end of the fight. He was trying to really save it. But he couldn't really push after the Nadal, who was used to fighting 12 rounds. He got win, and he just showed a lot of, boxing ability. I think if he had, the right kind of trainer or somebody working with him to kind of just tune up a couple of things that he do, a couple of mistakes, because he kept making a certain mistake where he kept dropping his right hand to get caught with the left hook.
Sure did.
It seemed like he didn't know how to stop that from happening to him. He had no idea, how to stop it. He he's looking right at Quillin. Quillin's eye is glued, waiting for him to throw the right hand.
Yeah, you're right.
Counter.
Well, I thought it too. But I'll tell you what, considering his amateur career, the guy's showing some stuff, and those knockdowns were not, I mean, those were planned knockdowns. I mean, he didn't say, all right, at this punch, I'm going to plan to knock him down. But you know what I'm saying? He countered, he set him up, he delivered is what I'm trying to say. And, boy, he delivered on left hooks, man. I mean, he stepped into it clean and all that, and I think he just needs some more. I noticed this in your video as well, and I agree with you, man. He needs just a couple more of these type of fights. Just tough veteran guys or just tough young guys, whatever it is. Not top-level guys, but just another couple of fights that guys are going to stay around. And so, like you said, you got to go 12 rounds. You don't want to do it right away, out of nowhere when you're against Martinez. Right. So I like his skill, though, a lot, man. He can counter. Both of them had hell of a jabs, but he started snapping his out midway through the fight. I like Quillin, but I agree with you, man. I think he needs a little more time to keep working, just keep getting better, because the guy, he did get to boxing late. He didn't have this illustrious, career as an amateur. And so I agree. A lot of people are already putting him in with Martinez, and it's like, whoa, slow down. Plus, I'd like to see him down another guy. I want to see him down against someone, and then we can maybe get a feel off that too. Okay, well, how good is he? Against another guy in the top 10 or something like that. So, be interesting to see. But yeah, definitely. I like Quillin.
Right, they're trying to put him in with GGG already, and it's like, well, let these guys. GGG just had one fight here in the States. Let these guys have a couple of fights. I think sometimes we rush fights too much. Yeah. We want to see them so bad. It's just sometimes we rush them. It's like, well, let them develop a little bit first. These guys just had one fight.
Yeah, and you're seeing it out of Quillin. You're definitely seeing improvement, and those were skills. Those weren't just crazy exchanges trying to get someone off you. Those were skillful left.
He's in the best shape he's been in I've ever seen. I've seen Quillin a few times, but this is the best and most focused I've ever seen him in a fight. He was really focused and he worked really hard. It's just that he's never went 12 before, and he's got to learn how to pace himself a little bit. And he puts so much on his punches, it'll wind him out a little bit. So he's got to learn how to pace himself for 12. And I think he showed a lot of heart, and a lot of character to get through that 12th round and to pull out 2 knockdowns in the 12th. It's very rare that a guy gets knocked down 3 times and then the fight is still in jeopardy. It's very rare. The only time that's ever happened in a fight and the fighter didn't win was Klitschko versus Samuel Peter. Peter knocked him down 3 times.
Right. That's a perfect example there. Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you what, though, man, wow, what a statement, though, he did make, because it was a 2-way fight, and Dan was a game fighter, and, man, that 4th round, when he stumbled in his corner, they could have stopped it there, and nobody would have, I don't think many people would have complained at that moment, but to have a fun fight, a 2-way fight, a guy coming back at you, and you drop him, showing your power and skill, you really couldn't ask for, unless it's just a straight cold knockout, like a spin cycle or whatever that Danny put on him, but other than that, you really can't ask more for a Brooklyn representative in a title fight. People are going to go, hey, Peter Quillin, I like that kid Chocolate, I mean, you're going to leave the building there.
The thing that was interesting is people don't credit the referee. They love to blame the referee, but they don't credit the referee when they make a good call. That referee could have stopped that fight, and a lot of people would have probably said a couple words. But to have the presence of mind and know that the Dom wasn't that hurt, even being knocked down 3 times, because you're taking a risk. When the fighter gets dropped 3 times, you're taking the risk as the referee. You got to look out for the fighter's health, and you have to protect him. But to know that Nadam was okay, it was just flash knockdowns, and, he was a little hurt a little bit, but he got himself together to allow that fight to continue. We probably would have never seen those, Nadam do all these things if this referee's been, a little nervous and not experienced enough to take the risk to say, okay, I trust that you're okay to fight, and that that was a big risk that he took because, something like that could backfire on you. When he's like, well, he could have stopped the fight earlier, the guy took too much punishment. But no, he saw that Nadal was fighting back, and he really called it. He didn't go to the pressure of the fans, wanting to see a good stoppage, knockout. But he gave the champion his respect, and saw that the guy was able to fight and continue. And we saw what we saw. We saw a champion fight like a champion after, dealing with that adversity.
That's right.
It was amazing.
Well, I'll tell you what, thanks for calling in, man. If you want to hang out, we're going to talk more. I know you're a busy man. Tell us what's going on BoxingSocialist.com or any kind of YouTube. We talked about your video today. It was pretty solid. Anything going on or any kind of topic you want to talk about, Garcia, before I go to another caller, bro?
Oh, yeah. We on Boxing Socialist right now in the blog. We got about Manny Pacquiao. Like they've been calling me in the Philippines because right now he's getting his conditioning together because Boo Boy's training him and he's going to get ready to come here. He's supposed to have left already, but he's actually sticking around in the Philippines because his wife, Jinky, and his brother is running for political offices as well as him. So a lot of people didn't know that. Jinky Pacquiao is running for vice governor, and his brother is running for Congress in the Philippines. All three of them has filed their COC license. That's their certificate of candidacy, and she just decided to run for her province. And it's something that they talked her into doing. She never made a plan to do it. And it's unbelievable. And his youngest brother, Royale, is running for congressman, and then Manny's running for governor. So all three of them, they want to be like a powerful government family. But he's still making the same mistakes again.
He's already late.
He did before. He's not taking this the fight as serious as he should. He's worried about the campaigns and dealing with all this, his brother and his wife. And then he's working hard when he's there, but then his focus leaves. It's like he's going through the motions. He's not really focused yet. So they want to get him to L.A. He's delayed it to the 27th. So hopefully they can get him to L.A. and he can focus his 8 weeks, getting ready for the fight. But once again, he found another way to keep himself distracted.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that, this keeps on happening. He said, I'm going to do a full camp. They want to do like at least, 5, 4, a full month here, whatever. They always try to do that. But this time he said that all over the place, that I'm coming for a full camp at Wild Card. And we started to see it, slowly but surely, stuff, came up. And Marquez, man, is just training. Like he's not, oh, man, I'll tell you what, it's just, you're right. He's not taking it. I mean, he's taking his life serious, sure, but he's not taking this serious, man. Basketball's nice. It keeps you in shape, but it doesn't improve getting hit by, a jab and a left uppercut counter shot by Marquez. I'll tell you that, because I don't know, man. I really don't know. He's making another mistake, and we'll see if it bites him. But then again, a lot of people think he lost the last two fights, or not the last two fights, but against Marquez. And, he still turned out the winner. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely, like you said, if you want to hang, feel free to hang. I know you're busy, but thanks for calling in, man. And you have a good night, buddy.
All right, cool.
All right, man. Once again, Carcino for Life on YouTube, Boxing Socialist.